Hello, it's Elisabeth here, one of the Craft Consortium design team. Today I would like to show you how to make a beautiful bonnet card suitable for Mother's Day or even for Easter. So to begin with, let me show you the little Robin Redbreast papers that I'm going to be using. These are the 12 by 12 papers. It's a fabulous collection full of whimsical garden creatures and beautiful floral designs. We're going to be making a bonnet similar to this one, so the check will come in handy. And then I'm also going to pick this vibrant floral paper with a slight sheen. To make the card itself, we're going to be using some white card. You need a couple of sheets of A4 paper. The first A4 paper we're going to fold in half, and using our 6-inch dies we're going to create our card base. So all you need to do is fold the A4 sheet of paper in half and then use your die to cut out a base for the card itself and to add to the easel. We're then going to use the various dies in increments, and I'll show you these more closely as we move further along in the video. First thing I want to do is to make the crown of the bonnet. So I'm going to take my A4 sheet of white cardstock and I'm going to score it at 1-inch increments. We're going to end up with 2 bands that we add together, but I'm simply scoring here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then I'm cutting the paper in half at the 3-inch mark. Next I'm going to fold and burnish these score lines, and I'm going to take a pair of scissors and cut from the outside edge to the centre fold in a zigzag pattern. I need to be able to fold these pieces of card around a cylinder, and this will form the crown of the bonnet. You will find that you don't need the entire strip of the second piece of card, but it's better to have excess than not enough. So I'll quickly cut the second band, and then we will be ready to adhere them together and measure them around the cylinder. The base of the card is round about 6 inches, and the crown that I'm creating is round about 4 inches. I'll leave you these measurements in the comments below, but don't worry too much if your measurements are slightly out. Just adapt them to the dies and the size of the crown that you want to make. I'm then going to glue these panels together, and I want to leave them to dry for a couple of minutes while I create the base and the top of the crown. So I need 2 of the 4-inch mats, and then I'm bringing in a cylinder. This is a custard powder pot, and it's 4 inches in diameter. So I'm going to use this to hold the crown in place. So as you can see, you don't need to have all of the panel. You can save that for your next project. I'm going to use some tape to bring this together, and then I'm going to pull the crown to the top of the custard pot and then add the wet glue to all of the cut-in tabs. I have no doubt that you will find your own way of assembling this part, but I've made a few of these now, so this is my preferred method, but I'm showing you the idea, and then I'm sure that you will make your own version. So as you can see, all I'm doing is adding the glue to the top of the tabs. Make sure that you've got plenty of wet glue on the tabs at this stage, and allow each component to dry thoroughly. I'm adding glue to the 4-inch base, and this will hold all of the tabs in place. After a couple of minutes, remove the custard pot, and then you're going to repeat the process again. While you're leaving this to dry, you can be cutting all of the pattern pieces. So we need the 6-inch die again, and we're going to cut one of the floral elements for the top and one of the checkered elements for the base. Then we're going to go in with the 5-inch mat, the 4¼ inch mat, and then the 3-inch mat will cover the top of the rim. I want to decorate the rim, so in the same way that I made it originally, I'm going to cut a piece of decorative paper that is 2 inches in width, and it could be the length that you require, and then I'm going to score on the right and the left at 1/2 inch, and then once again, as you saw me do before, I'm going to stick the pieces together and then cut into the 2 side panels to create like crocodile teeth in order to stick them around the base that we've already created. Now just remember that to cut up to the score line and work along each piece until you've cut away the zigzag. I'm going to use wet glue again, and I'm going to adhere this to the white base that we've already created. I'm going to wrap it around the base and once again add the wet glue until it is all securely in place. While you wait for the rim to dry, we're going to move back to the base of the card. I'm going to score it at the 3-inch mark to create the back of the easel. Then I'm going to ink the checked paper just to add a little bit of interest, and this will be stuck to the base of the card. I've then die cut the second white card at 6 inches. I'm adding glue to the base of the card, adding ink to the pattern paper, securing it in place, and then as I say, I'm going to add glue only to the lower half of the easel card, and this will form the basic card itself. Lay the card down flat and make sure that you double check where the top of the easel card will sit. Then we're going to bring in the 5-inch mat and the 4¼ inch mat. I prefer to flip over the second mat for some variation in pattern, and again I'm inking up all of the edges with my Distress Oxide before gluing them in place. I'm then ready to add the rim of the bonnet. I'm adding ink to the edges again just to pull the whole design together, and then at this stage you can either use red tape, but I'm perfectly happy with the wet glue. I add a liberal amount to the base, and then this is being added to the centre of the bonnet with the decorative paper inked again and then added to the top. Then leave everything to dry securely while you move on and create the flowers. I've got a set of dies, so I've used all of the decorative papers in the same colourways and die cut a selection of flowers in different sizes and different patterns. I've used some green Craft Consortium plain paper from their A4 pads with the blue and the green on the reverse to bring in both of the colours of the papers. I've also cut some butterflies, and at this stage I decide that I want to add some washi tape to the rim. Robin Redbreast has complementing washi tape in a wide and narrow design. I picked the one that matches with the vegetables, and even though it meant covering up the check design, I felt that it gave it a little added interest to the sides of the rim. So all I'm doing here is carefully lining up the washi tape and pulling it around the rim, and then I'll secure it at the back, and then this will be hidden by one of the die cut butterflies. I'm also going to incorporate the clipboard ephemera. There's a pack of this in the Robin Redbreast designs. You've got a mix of birds and animals and seed packets, anything really to match the papers within the range. These particular ones are sticky on the reverse, so I'm using one of the seed packets, and then I'm going to bring in the leaves to begin with in the green and the blue, and I'm going to create a wreath around the edge of the rim. It's then a matter of layering up the leaves and the die cut flowers so that you're creating a floral display on top of the bonnet. As I'm working with the flowers, I'm using a pokey tool to shape them. I lift the individual petals up and then I curve them with the pokey tool, and then again I'm going to ink them up, but at this stage it's entirely up to you how you bring the design together, but I'm using 2 or 3 sizes for each flower, and then I'm adding these layers in a curve to the rim of the bonnet, and then I'm going to go back in with a few of the other elements like the clipboard, some of the smaller flowers, and all the time I'm shaping them up and deciding which colours will work well together. This part does take a little while to work out, but it's worth the effort because you end up with a really beautiful keepsake card. Something like this would probably have to be given in a handmade box or a keepsake bag, but you can easily create these and then decorate them with the 12 by 12 papers. All I'm doing now is bringing in the various clipboard ephemera pieces and using my 3D glue gel to add dimension to the larger flowers. I use the wet glue for the smaller elements and the 3D glue gel for the larger floral elements. I used 2 layers of the die cut butterflies and adding this to one of the larger flowers and imagining that the butterfly is flying away, so lifting up the wings rather than laying them flat. I really enjoyed making this project. I think it would make a wonderful Mother's Day card, or you could use it with different colours for an Easter bonnet. There's even a few rabbits within this Robin Redbreast collection, so it's easily adaptable. I'm also bringing in my favourite Craft Consortium pearl embellishments. You usually get a rainbow of colours within each collection, but I've been saving them over the years, so I now store them in strips within each one of the colours of the rainbow. They come in handy for adding that last little touch to your projects. They do have adhesive backs, but for added strength I add a little bit of wet glue before securing them in place. So I'm adding 4 or 5 to the flowers and the butterfly, and then once these are set I'm going to come back in and add a few extra pieces just to finish the top of the bonnet off. This easel card will stand on its own. However, if you want to add some extra decorative parts to the inside of your card, then mix and match the ephemera with some more of the flowers. Again, you can use your wet glue and your 3D glue gel to hold them in place. And then when everything is dry, you can add a sentiment of your choice. And here you have your finished bonnet card. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial. Please join the team again at Craft Consortium very soon. Bye bye for now.